Welcome back. We're here with Mike Moore at Scoutco, and we're going to talk about his dad's truck that he was hoping that would get built before he left the earth. And I guess that happened. Tell us about this one.
He's still here and the truck's done, so it happened.
He's happy.
Yep.
I know he was smiling a lot that year,
Yeah,
the year it came up.
It's a cool truck. It's a 1924 Model 63, which I honestly don't know. I think it's a 2.5 ton truck. I'm not sure. I'm not well versed in those things. I don't know too many people who are.
There aren't too many around.
It was almost a convenience thing. In 2014, we had the Scout, which the planets aligned. When we started talking about doing a build off, we had the right truck with the right customer and the right budget and the right time frame. Everything just lined up perfect to get that truck done. In 2015, again, with these being customer trucks, we're not building them to sell. We're building them
to make somebody happy.
So you take what you get when it's in line to get done.
Right.
So in 2015, we really didn't have anything in line that was what I or you or voters or anybody else would consider, a build-off quality truck. So we backed off for 2015, and 2016 rolls around, and as we start progressing and getting closer, I'm like,
look at it. Why not?
I'm like, we really don't have anything in the works for a customer right now without pushing these three guys back and putting this guy to the front of the line to build it, which is something I will not do, period. I don't care what the circumstances are. Like, we really don't have anything. So I asked Dad about this and said, hey, do you think we could pull the 24 out? And he said, I would like to see it done before I die. So that's when the spark started with it. But Dad bought that truck in, I don't know, mid-'80s sometime. We drove it through a couple parades. It had a very poorly done cosmetic restoration prior to Dad getting it, and then it sat outside under a tarp long enough that anything that was done to it fell back apart. He bought it, drove it through a couple parades. It actually peeled one of the solid rubber tires off of the front, off of the rim. So we parked it, and fast forward 20 years or whatever it was to this point, and it hadn't seen daylight for a number of years. At that point, we had it in a trailer, and we got it out, and I started working on it. Mostly in the evenings. I think I probably had 6 months where I may have seen my family an evening a week where I was at home, or a little bit on a weekend or something like that. But this was largely my project, where this one was a Scoutco project that everybody helped on and did things. This was too, but not to the extent of what a normal Scoutco project is. There was a lot of naysayers on whether this truck was going to be done in time to take out there, and it was not as close as 4 a.m. But it was close getting it done too. But yeah, it was quite the learning curve to get it finished, and it was one of those deals where we ended up with people coming in from outside of Scoutco to help us finish on it.
So what state was it in when you started?
Virginia.
Physical state.
It was a very complete truck. Or
Northern Virginia.
No, easy now, easy. No, we were very lucky in that it was complete, because I really don't even know who to call to begin to find parts for something like that. But it was very complete, but it was pretty rough.
So I take it you had to fab a lot of things.
We did. We had, of course, basically the cowl, the rocker panel, and the windshield frame is metal. The rest of the cab is wood. And the previous restoration on it created all that wood out of plywood. So we really didn't even have a pattern for the cab. We just had pictures that we found online in Wisconsin Historical Society and all that to put together to try to come up with the correct shape of the cab, which the more I worked through it, I found there really is no correct shape for the cab, because International would supply a cab, but they were very expensive. So very few of them were built with a factory cab. Most of them were just cowl forward, and the cab would be built locally at the dealership. So there's really no wrong way of doing it, which was a good thing, I guess, because we didn't do it wrong. But
how could you? But each dealer did it different.
But the sides of the cowl were rotten. The rocker panels were rotten. There's a couple braces under the floorboards that were metal that were rotten. The top of the cowl was rotten. So the firewall was mostly solid. The side of the cowl we replaced, the top of the cowl we replaced. We saved the two little corner radiuses. The windshield frame we replaced parts of and kept parts of. And like I said, really the rest of it was
Did you
wood.
have to restore the wheels?
Two of the wheels, the rear wheels, are actually new. We had a company, I can't remember who did them, but we had the rear wheels we had made. The front wheels I had put a little bit of repair in a couple of the spokes where they were rotten, but the rear ones were beyond repair, so we had those done. And then the tires we had done also. Actually, those, you can buy all these different size tires, but that size we were having trouble finding anybody that could do it without costing ridiculous amounts of money. So we actually had a company that does earth mover tires, Recaps earth mover tires, did those for us, and they just took a layer of rubber, not like a tread, just a layer of flat rubber, and just continually wrapped, and then they shaved it off to the right shape and left us with this.
Interesting.
So it's kind of neat. They're slick. They don't have a tread pattern in them at all, but they only had a little tread to begin with. So, but yeah.
I'll see, how far deep did you go, like the rear diff and engine? Did you have to rebuild those?
When I got it out of the trailer, I took the cab and everything off of it, and it had run. Dad had run it. He and some of his friends, probably when they were my age, got it running when he bought it, but it hadn't run for a long time. So I messed with it one evening and got it to start. Of course, I know nothing about a Magneto ignition system, or
Right.
I'm playing and learning as I go.
This is
but-
more tractor-like.
Right. No, it's actually literally is the same engine they put in. I don't remember, something 1020, I think, tractor
At the
back
time,
in the day.
yeah.
But I got it running, and that was a huge step. So then we pulled the engine, pulled the rest of the radiator, pulled everything all off of it, and wire brushed and sanded and sandblasted and did everything to the
You
frame.
didn't
and
open it up, you just left it.
did not look in the engine whatsoever. It sounded decent. It's pretty neat. That engine's got two covers about 6 or 8 inches in diameter on the side of the engine with a wing nut on it. Well, you can loosen the wing nut up, and this is on the side of the block now. You take that cover off, and you can go in there and adjust the bearings.
Oh, wow.
So I had the covers off and looked in it. Everything was clean.
Leave
And
it
I'm like,
alone.
hey man, if it's there, because I have no clue where to get
Right.
any parts. You
Sure.
know, we got new spark plug wires and put new plugs in it, and that's about it. I think we had to rebuild a carburetor, which was kind of interesting too. It's an updraft carburetor. So my son helped me. We refinished or resealed the gas tank, which is under the dash. If you're sitting in a passenger seat, it's right at your knees. We redid the gas tank in it, and
So what was the most difficult aspect
the
of this
most
project?
difficult aspect of it was the part I did not do. I had a friend of mine, Gary Barker, who's a master of the craft of woodworking, and he built the cab for us. And I think that was probably the most intricate part of it. I mean, realistically, because the truck was complete, it was a disassemble, clean up, straighten up, paint,
Put it
and
together.
reassemble truck. I mean, that just sounds a lot easier than it is. I mean, we had to replace the bottom foot or so of each of the fenders, but the running board says International, and they were perfect, or good enough. I guess not perfect, but they were good enough. I didn't want to mess with them. But we didn't get carried away with it, and that was one of the biggest things that I wanted to, going into that project, I kept telling people, I don't want to over-restore this truck. And that was something I wanted because, I mean, you think about it, this thing's almost 100 years old. It runs, it drives, and it's got an International emblem on it.
How many
It doesn't
gears?
need anything else for that to be cool.
Is it a 3-speed or what? What's the gearbox?
I can't remember if it's 3 or 4, John.
I'm just wondering what's the top speed, like 25?
I want to say it's a 4-speed, but the top speed is actually on the VIN plate on that truck, and it's either 13 or 16 miles an hour.
Not much.
Well, if you think about it,
It's pretty, maybe.
the spring back's like this thick on it.
Yeah.
Solid tires, solid wheels.
It's going to beat you to death.
It's going to beat the crap out of you. So you can imagine going down a hill on the roads like they were in 1924, and then you get on the mechanical rear wheel only brakes. You probably didn't want to be going any faster
No.
than 13 or 16.
That is a 6-volt system? or
It doesn't have a battery.
Oh, how does the light work?
They don't.
Oh, okay.
It had a battery under the seat to begin
For
with,
that.
and that's one of the, I'll do it later on that
gotcha.
project, and it never got a battery put back in it.
Gotcha.
Dad's actually got it at home now, and he's building a bed for the back of it.
What's that going to be like?
It's just a rough cut,
Just a flat bed?
just like it would have been. Again, we don't want to overdo it. You know, you see a lot of brass era stuff that shows, and they'll pinstripe everything up. You know, all the wheels, everything will have pinstripes. They'll polish all the metal, and
The
it's like,
crowd
I don't want it
actually
like that.
liked that the way it is because it was simple and
Yep, and I think that's a great part. I feel like that's a great part of why it won is because it's different. It's like Jeff said about
Very
his travel
different.
law. He said it's a travel law against 3 scouts or whatever, and this
Right.
was like nobody. You see an older truck, 30s, 20s, whatever. Probably once every 2 or 3 years.
I don't
at
know that we've
Nationals,
ever had
something
one of
like
those.
that.
But
So-
we get early stuff, and we've
Right.
had auto buggies and auto wagons, but that was the first of that model that I can think of in 30 years.
We had to, one of the weird things about it, I guess, we had to try to build it a little more resilient than what it was because this thing's built to go 15 miles an hour and Dad's hauling on a trailer running 60, 70 miles an hour.
gonna-
So you just figure the wind
Right.
beating it,
Beating on it.
So we did, if you walk around the truck and look at it, when Gary put the cab together, we tried to find brass straight head screws that would work, and we'd go to put it in, and you couldn't get them tight enough before they would break. So we ended up just using like a modern Torx head deck screws to hold the cab together because we were scared if we didn't, it wouldn't hold together. So we glued everything and then put that in.
I seem to remember some of the purists were talking, and that's not period correct,
Right.
but it didn't matter. It's not the way they voted on
Well,
it.
it's, again, I didn't build it.
No.
We built it to take.
Just to have an entry.
I built it because Dad wanted it built.
Yeah.
Everything else is aside. So we had to build it for Dad, and for Dad to have it, he's got to be able to haul it.
Why
So
not?
that's why we built it that way.
Right.
But if you look at it, there's places, again, I didn't want to replace any metal that didn't need to be replaced because I thought, man, that stuff is 90 years old. I don't want to just overdo it. And again, I don't want to over restore this truck. Same way with the wheels. We left those 2 front wheels. They're not perfect, but I thought it was too cool that there's a 90-year-old wooden front wheel that doesn't have to be replaced. So let's leave it and replace this spoke and put a patch in that spoke and put it together like that. So,
It presented very well.
right, it does. It looks good. It's cool. You're not going to park beside of another one, so you don't really have a
No.
whole lot to compare it to.
No, we'd like to see that happen.
Oh, that'd be cool.
It would be.
I'd like to bring it back out in 2024 because it'll be 100 years old.
Yeah,
So I'd like to
that's-
take it someplace to a bigger show in 2024.
Yeah, you ought to bring it up to Springfield in 2022.
That's not 100 years, Dad.
But that's the Red Power Roundup. It's going to be
Right.
there, and we'll be back at the Clark County Fairgrounds.
ATHS, it'll actually be, that's why Dad's working on the bid. ATHS is having their national convention about 3 miles up the road.
At the fairgrounds.
Yep, at the Rockingham County Fairgrounds, not in 2020, but in 2021.
Okay.
So that's
Getting ready
not
for
that
that.
he's got to have it, big rush, but that's his plan is to have it done to take up there. So.
Anything else you want to add on that truck?
No, I don't guess. Like I say,
It is what it is.
It's pretty simple. Like I said, my goal with it was, we picked the colors. Dad let me pick the colors, and I just wanted something that wasn't overly flashy because I feel like normally I would say flashy is not 1924, and that was. You figure some guy thought that was the latest and the greatest when the boss said, "Hey, we got your new truck," and handed him the key in 2024. So I didn't want to overdo it because of that. But the funny thing is, I say that about the colors. I didn't want to overdo it. But originally, this truck was green with an orange frame. So I'm not sure. Everything in Wisconsin Historical Society says no, they were green and black. I'm like, this one wasn't because I'm taking every component apart, and in between the layers, the
orange.
stuff's got orange paint on the
Wow.
chassis. It was so strange.
Can imagine what that looked like.
I figured it had to have been a circus that bought it new.
Could have been. Might have been.
But no, it's a cool truck. I'm glad
Do you know
we got
where
it done for
it came
Dad.
out of?
I don't know where it originated at. Dad bought it. Actually, it sat in the dealership showroom in Baltimore. And then one of Dad's friends bought it. The dealership traded hands somewhere along the line in the early 80s, I'm assuming somewhere in the neighborhood. And one of Dad's friends ended up with it, and that's how it got out of their showroom and put behind this guy's house under a tarp. And then Dad did some horse trading and got it then. So, but I don't know, prior to the 80s when it came out of Baltimore, I don't know where it came from.
Interesting. Well, we're proud that truck was at the Nationals, and there were. Oh, you've had 2 other entries in the Great American Build Off, and both of them were green. kind of like Joe's.
Right, yeah,
So,
very similar. Actually,
some
the first
reason-
one was the same color as Joe's. So.
That Joe's truck and your builds have been growing on me, because
Right.
I remember in the 70s I hated that color, and when we, in the 80s when we started the business, we would get them in to part out, and there were all kinds of them coming in all rusty, and couldn't wait to cut them up. But now that color is in vogue.
I feel the same way about it. When that was the first, we did 2 green ones back to back, like you said,
Right.
they were very similar in color. They weren't exactly the same. But that one was, the first one was 2017, the year after this truck was out there. And I didn't like the color when he picked it. He said, I want mint green. I want 79 mint green. I was like, okay. And he picked some white vinyl, off-white vinyl for the seats, and then we put the part that you sit on, the insert part of it was a green and white plaid. And every time he would tell me something he wanted to do, okay, it's your truck, not mine. I don't like it, I don't like it. Then when it started getting put together, it's like, I actually really like this. It's not bad. But that one was sprung over with white wagon wheels and a white roll bar.
Quite a bit more radical than this one.
It was, yeah, as far as the outward appearance, for sure, yep. But we didn't do anything under the hood of it. He didn't want to paint the engine or do anything with it, so it was a lot less time and a lot less money involved in what there was in this one.
But for the record, when we filmed the Great American Build-Off TV program, our host had your biography and kind of got it wrong. I'd like you to straighten out the record, because I felt bad and we didn't catch it.
Well,
About your crew.
It was. I think it was perceived that Jennifer and I were building this truck.
Well, it sounds like a nice story,
So,
but it wasn't.
right,
That's not
right.
the fact.
No, it's not. I mean, there's tons of people. I mean, I could give you a list of specific people that were involved in both of these two,
But specifically
back
the
in the
green
day.
ones.
But that particular truck, Jennifer comes out and helps. She does do stuff in the shop if we need her to. I can walk in and just look at her and go, "Hey, babe, how you
Come
doing?"
this way.
And she knows we need help pulling a top. She just knows it. She knows she hates it, but she knows what I need when I walk in there and just go. But she doesn't get a whole lot of time in the shop because she's busy in there doing the vinyl stuff. And my brother's in the shop, and we hired, during that process of that Green Scout, we hired another part-time guy, Evan, who's still here now too. And the 4 of us with Jennifer, all had.
So there were lots of hands,
A huge
including
part of
Eddie, which is his brother.
Right.
Eddie's a really nice guy and quite a character, and I kind of myself and the other producer Jeff kind of felt bad when we didn't catch that.
But no, Eddie started in, I think, 2011. He started when not this one, but the one 2 years prior to that. He came in during that build and started with it. So,
Eddie's pretty sharp. I got
He
to
is.
watch him pull a head off of a Nissan diesel for me and do some work to an engine, and he's quite knowledgeable, and I like him. He's kind of reserved and quiet to other people.
we're
I
brothers.
I like Eddie.
We're brothers, so we have our days where,
Well, of
where we
course.
don't work well together, but our skill sets offset each other really well. He's more mechanical, and he can do everything, but he won't get into the welding and that side of it, to where I end up doing the floor replacement and the quarter panel replacements and stuff like
You
that.
all have your functions.
And then he comes over and does the other stuff. So the fact that our skill sets are different, but they overlap a lot, it makes it to where we can work together to do a great part of the build, and then we're separate for parts of it too, which is needed. Both of those are needed, but
I was going to get Eddie on
communicate.
camera, but he had an event to get to, so we'll catch him next time.
But no, we definitely are a team. Whether we succeed or whether we fail, we do it as a team. So,
Well, tell people your website again,
ScoutcoProducts.com.
and that's where you can get information on his LS specialties, decal and striping specialties, and you make a downpipe for the diesel. That's one of your specialties. What else does Scalco have that maybe someone else doesn't?
We've got basically any decal that you'd want, because we're licensed through Lightline to do the reproduction decals. So if you get a Scout and you drop the glove box, you got all those little decals in
Right.
there. We make all of that stuff for all the different years. You have to tell us what you want, because International may have done this in '76, but they also did this, and this in '76. So a lot of times we have to drag it out of somebody, get a picture of your glove box so we get it exactly right. But all of the decals and stuff like that we do.
And you will custom decal.
We
If you
do,
want
we
a
do.
reverse rally or different color rally stripe or about anything you'd want in your imagination, you'll do it.
Yeah, well, my wife will do it.
Well, it's
Don't throw
Jennifer.
her under the bus.
Okay, it's Jennifer. That's right. She's the backbone of the company.
Oh yeah, no doubt. we do actually right now for the last year or so. Satin black 77, 8, 9 rally stripes have been
Out the door.
I'm sorry, 78, 79,
Number one
80
sellers.
rally stripes have been crazy, which was not a factory option in satin black. But man, that's what everybody seems to want. So we probably sell 2 or 3 of those to everything else at this point. But yeah, we've done, people will send us pictures of, hey, this is my granddad's old Scout that had this stripe that his neighbor Bubba put on. Can you reproduce that? And we've done all kinds of custom stuff like that. We make the little indicator plates for beside of the shifters and the surrounds for the dash.
I noticed I didn't get a picture of it on Al Crossy's LS pickup truck that you had done the decals up in the little ID plate up by the front marker light.
Right.
I caught that.
LSD.
Yep.
That's what he called it.
that was
LSD
cool.
because we put an LS in a D series pickup, so we made an
Very
LSD
neat.
decal. And we've done those same ones for Cummins for the guys that swap Cummins into D series pickups and stuff like that.
Now, do you sell there are some out there that want to paint the rally stripes on. Do you sell the reverse?
We do. We probably do one of those a month where somebody wants to paint.
you
it
have
on,
it,
and we
so
do.
that's available.
Yeah, and it's actually a paint mask material so that it makes a crisp line where it comes off. It's not the regular vinyl. It's easier to remove, but it's made to make a real crisp line and do really well. So, yeah, we do those for any of the stripes. If you want an accent stripe that they did in 78, 9, or whatever you want, we can do those. And we've done a Comanche, 71 Comanche that has got one of the little 2.8 Cummins in it. And instead of the C just being normal, we put the Cummins C and made it a Cummins Comanche.
That's pretty neat.
So just all kinds of little
Lots
stuff
of creative
like that.
stuff you can do. So,
Yep.
but I want to thank you.
Sure. Thank
It's been a great visit, and if you need information on anything you've seen or any programs on Binder TV, go to www.bindertv.com, and we have a merchandising page that helps. This is our #1 seller that helps support our efforts at Binder TV. That's ihscoutfitters.com. Go take a look and see if there's something you'd like to buy. Good night for now.
Yep. Thank you.
See you.